Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is a screencast-o-matic presentation and recording for the part of the lesson that has us looking at congressional committees. Before we get started, please let me encourage you to open up to today's lesson and to scroll down the correct section and get ready to fill in the blanks for any content that coincides with the guided notes sections and or answer any key concept questions that happen to appear throughout the lesson and presentation. Let's go ahead and get started, and remember that you can replay any part of this presentation for detailed clarity or repetition later on. Let's begin. Congressional committees, in both the House and the Senate. The purpose of committees is multifold. They divide work of Congress into smaller specialized groups. They also, of course, select bills that will be allowed to move forward in the legislative process. And they additionally try to hold public hearings and investigations when and where necessary. Essentially, committees are the back engine of Congress that make it work. Committee hearings are also really important, mostly because people in our world and in our democracy demand transparency. Hearings in many ways are televised for the people. General truths about Congress and all committees. So basically, the party in power selects the chairperson, and the chairperson is often deemed to be the most powerful person within each committee. Now, the membership in each committee is divided in proportion to percentage of control in the House or the Senate. So therefore, currently, the Democrats control both chambers of Congress. So, with that being said, they control most of the committees and have a lot of control within inside of those committees. Each and every single committee also has a subcommittee, and subcommittees essentially do more work to look at the nitty-gritty specifics to get things done. Some more truths about committees. Members of Congress fight for certain chairperson positions. If you're a chairperson of a committee, you are not only the most powerful person, but often that carries over to prestige in your electoral career. Chairpersons often have great power as well, not just within the committee, but also outside as well, as people might look towards the chairperson as being an esteemed, wise person. Also bear in mind that certain committees are more prestigious than others. Not all committees were created equal. Each member of Congress can only serve on a limited number of committees too, and that's mostly to prevent them from spreading themselves too thin, but also amassing too much personal control in the legislative branch. In terms of general truths about committees continued here, the unwritten rule is that seniority rules. The seniority system in Congress is as old as the day is long. Basically, the seniority rule connotates that if you've been there the longest, you in fact will have the most say or sway within a committee. Now let's get into different kinds of committees. There are standing committees, subcommittees, select committees, joint committees, and conference committees. Our job here is to understand them a little bit more in depth than what Crash Course and the notes from the previous week might have given. So standing committees are permanent committees that are always there, and they represent major areas of government. Major areas, of course, consisting of money, resources, and more. Subcommittees work with smaller parts of the larger committee's responsibilities. Now, these subcommittees are usually permanent, but they can change occasionally, especially when the focus of certain subcommittees changes too. Some examples of subcommittees are the Ways and Means Committee, and underneath them, of course, you have Health, Human Resources, Oversight, Select Revenue Measures, Social Security, and Trade. In terms of select committees, these are only usually created to study one specific issue at a time. They might usually deal with some large issue of great concern. Although they might be usually temporary, the fact is that they still matter and play a key role in the legislative process. The main purpose of them is to investigate and report findings to the House or the Senate. We often look to select committees and their work to help us have greater understanding of certain issues at hand. Next are joint committees. Joint committees have members from both the House and the Senate, and they serve as study groups too. Joint committees report findings to the House and the Senate as well, but they also have limited authority since representing both the House and the Senate can amass a lot of power. Joint committees can come together to look at key issues that affect almost all layers of government. Next, here are conference committees, and conference committees are members from both the House and the Senate. Although they might be temporary in nature, for like one bill only, the fact is their only job is to negotiate the final form of a bill before it goes to the president's desk. Of course, they're really important because if the right compromises are not made, then the president in power may not sign the bill. Of course, they can report the bill back to both the House and the Senate, if need be, for markup, addendum, and revision. In terms of powerful committees that exist and persist in Congress, the fact is that there are so many. To recap, the House has the Rules Committee, the Ways and Means Committee, which oversees taxation, tariffs, and other revenue-raising legislation, and the Appropriations Committee, where the money actually goes to and, how much of it. By contrast, in the Senate, there's the Foreign Relations Committees, which of course deal with other countries, finance, like the Ways and Means over there, but also deals with Social Security, and of course more appropriations, dealing with more money. So as you guys can see, congressional committees in Congress are really important, not just because they move the ball forward in terms of course, the legislative process, but also because they play a key role in really what bills can look like in the end. My hope is that after this brief little presentation, you were able to understand a little bit more about how congressional committees work. Thank you so much for tuning in, and good luck with completing the rest of the lesson.